So, security competition has been at the heart of the U.S. China relationship since the end of the Cold War. Differences over the status of Taiwan, differences over the validity of U.S. alliances, U.S. force structure, American concerns about the PLA, the Chinese military, are not new to the U.S. China relations. But securitization is a different phenomena. That's the phenomena in which security issues are beginning to collide with economic issues in a way that's making the economic agenda and the security agenda overlap. There's a growing number of American concerns about the security implications of the U.S.-China economic relationship. That's securitization. Well, the main facet of the relationship where securitization is occurring is the economic relationship. In other words, the economic agenda is assuming a security competition dimension. For example, there are now many American analysts and government officials that are looking at the security threats emanating from U.S.-China trade, Chinese investment in the United States, U.S.-China interactions on cyber issues. So the economic agenda is not just about creating a level playing field. It's not just about making sure American companies are competitive in the China market. It's also about protecting American national security. Well, securitization of the economic relationship affects the diplomacy between both sides by increasingly characterizing the relationship in competitive terms. In other words, the economic relationship between the United States and China used to be a mix of cooperation and competition, maybe even sort of 50-50 or 60-40 competition versus cooperation. But the securitization dimension of it makes the economic relationship even more competitive, which shrinks the space for Americans to see China as a potential cooperative partner on addressing global challenges. So in other words, securitization is a clear headwind to more diplomatic cooperation with China. Hostility is a strong word to define the U.S.-China relationship. I'd say that there's no question that competition has moved to the forefront of the relationship as the cooperative agenda has receded. The securitization of the economic relationship is one of the dimensions that's driving more competition in the U.S.-China relationship. My concern is that if these issues of security concerns related to U.S.-China interactions aren't addressed, that competition could eventually evolve into issues of rivalry and put the relationship on a long-term trajectory toward confrontation. Well, it's hard to tell. It's clearly occurring right now, and that's resulting in a lot of U.S. assessments and changes in laws and regulations to more heavily scrutinize, on the one hand, Chinese investment coming into the United States to make sure that the Chinese aren't getting access to national security related information, R&D, etc. But it's also affecting the trade relationship because the U.S. is now working on new export control laws to monitor and police the export of critical and foundational and emerging technologies from the United States to China. So this is one of these short-term phenomena that could become a long-term phenomena. And now there's a lot of debate in the United States about whether or not there will gradually be a technology decoupling. In other words, in areas where, in areas of bilateral technology trade and investment where the United States and China are competing head-on, that our supply chains and our production networks will essentially be decoupled because there's too much of a national security risk to the United States to have Chinese technologies in our computer supply chain, our 5G supply chain, maybe even in the supply chain related to new energy vehicles.